There's this alarm that goes off every time the fire department is called. For those of you in Tornado Alley, you'll know it as a tornado alarm, but up here in New England, just there to alert the town and or volunteers that there's a fire because it's a small town. I grew up in Tornado Alley, and the first time we heard the alarm, my family went into full panic mode. It's also the sound from Silent Hill for you horror fans. One afternoon, I was walking home from the park, and it got dark fast. As a 14-year-old girl, I thought I was pretty much an adult by this point, and in a small redneck northeastern town, I didn't really feel scared walking home 15 years ago now. I was about half a block from the fire station as a red old Toyota truck pulled up and offered me a ride home. I politely said that I was fine, as this old greasy guy just gave me the absolute creeps. He kept driving slowly by me till he noticed that I picked up the pace to a near jog, and he began to drive off. Only to drive back towards me minutes later, then turn around and drive back up to me. He swung his car door open and started angry walking fast towards me, and my heart literally stopped and my body froze like a deer in headlights ready for death. He grabbed my arm hard and started pulling me to his car. I screamed, but he covered my mouth with his hands that reeked of sweat and cigars. I wiggled away only to have my head slammed into his truck full force, making my ears ring as soon as he got a grip on me again. As he was forcing me into his truck, the fire department alarm blares. For reference, you can hear the alarm a town over, and being only half a block away, it's extremely loud, disorienting if you're not used to it, as it is a very concerning horn siren-like sound. He let go long enough for me to sprint into someone's backyard, and I assumed between the sound and possible witnesses now, it wasn't worth it anymore to him. After he drove off, I tried to just sit there and gather myself and my thoughts. A dog in the owner's house started barking at me, and a guy in his 30s comes out at some point and asks what I'm doing, eventually noticing a scared girl with blood on her face, and then asked if I needed help. I simply shook my head yes. I don't know how long, but eventually cops showed up, then an ambulance. Next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. My parents are freaking out, and I told cops what had happened. As far as I know, they never caught the guy. I had stitches in my head, but thankfully no permanent damage. Cops assumed he wasn't from around here, as we're the only town with that alarm, and probably wouldn't have been startled by it if he was a local. I haven't contacted police in years, but last I checked, they never caught the guy, nor had similar reports, so either he's getting away with it, or his scare with trying to take me scared him off for good from hunting young girls. When I was 13 or 14, I lived in the panhandle of Florida with my mom, younger brother, and my stepdad. My mom had been married to him for almost 6 years now, and I never did feel comfortable alone with him. He was always lazy, smelled bad, and just gave me the creeps. Sometimes it was just little things like he'd stare a little too long or would go out of his way to get me things I had asked my mom for. I know that doesn't really seem to raise any red flags, but my mom had raised me to be very aware of men, being a very small girl. Our small house had a weird floor plan. I won't go into details about the entire house. You just need to know my room was in the very center of the house. I had 3 doors going into my room, one shared by my brother's room, one going out into the second living room type area my mom used as her bedroom, and the last one going out right next to the bathroom door. Sometimes my brother would go through my room to get to the bathroom when my mom and stepdad were fighting or doing drugs like they usually did. The bathroom was right up against the wall of my closet. My closet didn't have doors on it, and the walls were very thin, so a lot of the time I could hear when someone was in there and what they were doing. A while after living there, I had discovered that the bathroom mirror could be slid a few inches to the right or left to reveal a sort of nook, which I thought was kind of weird. But the people who lived in the house before me were extremely weird, so I didn't think much of it. A few weeks go by after I discovered the secret compartment in the bathroom, and I was just sitting in my room playing games on my laptop when I heard some kind of scratching noise coming from the closet. I thought it was some kind of rodent because our house really was that bad off. I decided not to pay any attention to it. A few months later, I heard my stepdad's footsteps leave the bathroom. Then I started to realize that Maybe he too knows about the secret compartment. Curiosity rushes over me, and I decided I needed to know what he might have hid back there. I quietly rushed into the bathroom and locked the door behind me. First, I thought maybe he was just trying to hide drugs or money from my mom, which wouldn't be surprising. I felt my heart beating out of my chest when I slowly pushed the mirror to the side. Curiosity became shock when I realized what he had done. It was his phone, propped up by a piece of cardboard. The phone's camera was pointed to the small crack between the mirror and the wall, having a clear view of the shower and toilet. Anger took over me and I snatched the phone, quickly unlocking it by looking at the previous fingerprints. It wasn't recording, but taking a series of pictures which I knew he was controlling with his computer because he was good at computer stuff and hacking. I scrolled through his camera roll to find tons of pictures of me getting into the shower and using the toilet. I was furious. I hid the phone in my pocket, put the mirror back, and stormed into the living room looking for my mother. My stepdad was the only person in the living room, so I asked him where she was, trying to keep my voice calm and steady. "Outside," he said. He made a face like maybe he somehow knew I had found his phone. He could have been watching me from his computer this whole time, but I didn't care. I walked outside to find my mom on the porch. I slammed the door and sat down next to her. I pulled the phone out of my pocket and showed her all of the pictures. She grabbed the phone and stormed inside to confront my stepdad, who was already panicking. My mom was screaming at him and I started crying. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but somehow my stepdad had gotten a hold of his phone and my mom was in my room comforting me. My stepdad had come into the room and was saying that there was nothing on it and I could go through it if I wanted to, but I already knew he had deleted everything. I took the phone from him and threw it against the wall. My mom screamed at him to leave the room. It's been 6 years since then, and she never reported or even left him. I've lived with other family for 3 years already and rarely get to see her because when she does come around, she brings my stepdad with her and I just hide in my room with the door locked. I never forgave him, and I have never trusted another man since. For background, I'm an 18-year-old female in my first semester of college. I've always seemed to get a lot of attention from guys and tend to attract some pretty creepy ones for some reason. Probably because I'm overly nice and have a hard time just telling people to buzz off even when I get bad vibes from them. Anyway, I decided to get Tinder over the summer due to quarantine. All of my classes for college are online, so I'm not able to meet many people. I thought if I got Tinder, I could get to know some people from my university and maybe even go on some dates. I got a lot of matches. Some guys were really nice and cool to talk to, and then I obviously got some people just wanting to hook up, which I'm not into, but nothing too abnormal. That's what Tinder is mainly for, after all. After a few months, I ended up matching with a guy from out of state. We matched because he was in the area for work. He was 8 years older than me, but I didn't mind. First red flag right there. He seemed pretty nice, and he asked for my snap, so I gave it to him. We talked a little, and within a couple of days, he became very clingy and obsessive. I have an extremely busy major, and most of my time is taken up from school. Because of this, I'm not always on my phone and cannot answer messages right away. If I didn't answer for an hour or two, he would message me again and again. He said things like, "Why won't you talk to me? Are you seeing someone else? I wouldn't be surprised. You're so beautiful. And I need you." I thought this was very strange as I just started talking to him and we clearly weren't seeing each other. I explained to him that I am very busy with school and it was nothing personal. He said he respected that and we continued talking. Obviously that didn't last very long or I wouldn't be writing this story. He continued to text me constantly, telling me he needed me and asking why I was ignoring him. He started talking about driving 2 hours to see me. I was weirded out, but I assumed that he was just lonely and desperate. I felt bad, so I tried to brush it off and answer when I could because he didn't really do anything too concerning. Stupid, I know. This continued for a few weeks, and I started getting extremely annoyed. I had a bad gut feeling about this guy. He started talking very sensually, and I told him I wasn't into that. He apologized and said that he would stop. He didn't, and no surprise there, so I started ignoring his messages. He apologized, and I called him out for it. He continuously apologized, and I just left him on red. He started Snapchatting me pictures and constantly messaging me, so I unadded him. And then he texted me with another apology and said that he had hoped that he could take me on that date we talked about, even though I never expressed interest in going on a date. I ignored that message too and moved on with my life. About 2 weeks later, I got a message that simply said, "I'm sorry." I ignored that too. He didn't message me after that, and it soon slipped my mind once again. Later that week, I had a dream of him breaking into my house and attempting to kidnap me. And I started thinking about it again, so I tried looking him up on Instagram. He didn't have an Instagram, which I didn't think was too weird because I know some people who only use Facebook, so I tried looking him up on there. He didn't have Facebook either. And that was kind of weird. Most people have one or the other, if not both. I thought it was so strange that this guy didn't have any form of social media besides Snapchat and Tinder. I wondered if he used a fake name. Then I decided to try one last thing. I searched his name on Google, and what I found made my blood run cold. The first thing that came up was an article for his arrest back in January with his mugshot, and he was arrested for lewd images of children on his laptop. I found several photos of underage girls on his phone, and he was released on bail a few days later. I was absolutely disgusted. This man was a predator, and he was free to do as he pleased and prey on younger girls. When I think about it, my guess is that he saw that I was 18 and thought he could still get something from a younger girl without getting into trouble because I was legally an adult. I'm not stupid enough to send any revealing photos or videos. I'm so glad I stopped being so nice and listened to my gut when things progressed. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't, and I wonder if my dream was a sign for me to look into who he was. It still creeps me out that he was so obsessed with me when I didn't talk to him for very long at all.